All right, this podcast is over learning target number 4. I can solve absolute value equations. The absolute value of a number may be thought of as its distance from 0. So looking at the number line that we have here, the number line shows from 0 to 10 both ways. If you notice, if I have a point at -9 and I have a point at +9, both of the distance from 0 is 9. So when we are trying to solve absolute value equations like the one we have below, the absolute value of x equals 10, it is both -10 and 10. So when we have, again, the absolute value of 10, to solve this, we set up two equations after we have isolated the absolute value, and x equals 10 and x equals -10. So looking at this problem here, first off we need to isolate the absolute value. So what that means is I only want the absolute value sign on the left side of my equal sign. Okay, and that's what I have. After I have that, I'm going to set up two problems. The first one I'm going to copycat it, 2x equals 8. And the second one, I'm going to have it equals -8. So then I'm going to go ahead and solve both of them separately. So x equals 4, and on this side x equals -4. Okay, so again, we need to make sure that we isolate the absolute value so nothing can be on the outside of the absolute value sign when you solve this. All right, so go ahead and try this one on your own. All right, this one here, if we notice, we cannot have the absolute value of a number be negative because distance cannot be negative. Okay, so I cannot have a distance, you cannot drive negative miles. On this one, because it equals 0, we're only going to have one answer. So we're going to go ahead and solve our one answer because I can't have a positive and a -0. So 5x equals 5. So x can only equal 1 on this case. And the last one, I do not have the absolute value sign isolated. So I need to isolate it first. So I have absolute value of 2x equals 14. Now that I have it isolated, I can set up my two problems. 2x equals 14, 2x equals -14, and I solve. So I have x equals 7, and x equals -7. You can't always assume that you're going to have a positive and negative of the same number, so you really need to make sure that you do solve it completely. So this completes the podcast for SE4.